This is iRacing.
As Championship Saturdays go, this might be one of the tamer ones that you will find. Championships decided in GTO and GTP, both in your main and junior categories out there overall. So what is there to race for outside of pure pride and the joy of this? This is basically the circuit that is the gateway to the Mediterranean for racing action. Welcome to the Autodromo Internacional de Algarve, and this, the final round of your IMSA Vintage series here on the Global SimRacing Channel. My name's Jake Sperry, joined alongside by Craig King, as Christian Deploy sits in the director's chair using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. But an Algarve circuit that forms itself as the baby brother to that of the circuit of Estoril, and in recent years, hasn't it proved to be a wonderful place for racing action? If you haven't been around here or you don't quite know what makes this Portimao-based circuit so great, here's a little GSRC track guide on the Internacional do Algarve.
Welcome to Algarve International Circuit, more commonly known to fans as Portimao. Located at the very southern end of Portugal and just a half an hour from the Atlantic Ocean, the first thing most folks notice about this place is the elevation changes. It has nearly as many rises and falls as it does corners, which, for those curious, is either 15 or 16 turns, depending on which of the four layouts you choose. All clock in at roughly 4.5 kilometers, or just under 3 miles. A lap here kicks off with a big plunge down into Primera, which is either a swift right flick or a sharp turn into a chicane. Both are going to be tough to nail. We'll go through a good variety of fast, medium, and slow corners, but each one is distinctly different. Having a stable setup will absolutely be key. One of the most iconic spots is the flight over the hill between Samsung and Craig Jones. It's often described as a roller coaster-like hill, feeling like it's going to throw you out of the car. Built in 2008, it's got a surprising amount of character for a relatively new circuit. Because of this, it's become quite popular for a number of motorcycle and GT series that visit regularly. It's also hosted lots of TC racing and open-wheelers all the way up to Formula One. As the first Portuguese track to join the iRacing service, it'll likely be just as popular virtually as it is with fans in real life.
So, some brilliant racing action has happened in the past since its inception in 2008, but a 4.59 kilometer circuit, Craig, that has all of the elevation change in the world to go and navigate through. And for GTO and GTP, this is a perfect multi-classing circuit.
Yeah, European Le Mans Series has been here before, and it is really nice because of the speed differences, the space you get, but those elevation changes will be killer for some of these cars. Remember, the GTPs have a ground effect downforce-like body, so the moment they go over a ridge, they're going to be losing that a little bit, and the rear will start to just kick out a little bit, so they're going to be worried about that on a lot of these corners, as well as the GTOs. When they go over hills, they got to make sure they know where they're going, because you can't deviate from your lines in the GTO, so that's going to also bring that interesting fact here for multi-class, because these cars are not regular multi-class cars that you would see nowadays. They do have to give that a little bit more respect that you see in the modern day. So look out for a little bit of crazy moments going into turn 5. Look out for also moments going down into Portimao at 10 in 11. That run after 14 at Algarve, all the way down to Gout to the start-finish line. It is downhill, gives you a really nice run. That's where the race today will be won and lost.
Galpi is a corner which has seen time and again that many runs for the line are not sorted until you find the progress through. And don't run wide out of that final corner either, otherwise you will be picking up slowdown and potentially 40 extra seconds worth of point. But let's talk about the championship then today, because this has been a championship all about dominance. We'll start with GTP. Jacob Reed, they only count the best 10 results, and after 9 results, he's got 9 wins in the pocket, 247 ahead of Aldrius Valenteius. Gabri Martinez in third is under threat for that third place from Christoph Olenijak in that 4th place. You've then got Brendan Lim and Fabian Youngbluth 5th and 6th. Jack Wells in 7th position. It then leads Davide Riccardi, Henning Schwebig, and Emilio Dicciari, your top 10 in the standings. Over the page, though, we will look at GTO with Craig King.
Yeah, well, Noel Lundberg has the championship wrapped up. Doesn't look it with 23 gap there with 25 points for a win, but it is all done. He cannot be caught with so many good results this season. In fact, he hasn't even gone off the top podium steps this season. Jon Van Hicks and Joni Hagner will be battling for the last 2 spots in the podium. Just 6 points determine the gap between the 2 of them. The winner, whoever gets the best out of both of those 2, will probably end up winning the 2nd place today. Meanwhile, behind, you've always got these close battles in the GTOs, and you've got that Mickey Fries and Josh Brain at there. Doug Cloud still hanging around, wanting a top 5 finish. Andreas Schuster just sniffing then with Vika Costa-Salo, followed by Ian Haycox and Jack David Spickett. And I always like to give a shout out to the juniors. Juniors are not tied up. Brandon White has won it, but there are 4 drivers that can get P2. We'll talk about that as we go through the race.
We absolutely will here today, and if you are here just joining us for some IMSA Vintage action, this is all about how quick it can go. This is effectively your sprint style round. It's 40 minutes worth of racing action, open setups for everyone, so they've got a chance to make it what they need to, and there is no spare car available for anyone. If you break it, that's it. Your day is done. It will more likely happen with car-to-car contact today than hitting any of the barriers. There's a lot of runoff room available. A drive-through penalty comes through at 17 instant points. It's disqualification at 25 if you get that far along. So it is going to be tough for drivers out there today in what are conditions that I can only describe as nearing a pea soup. Here it looks like a fog has rolled in from the Atlantic and the Mediterranean and has created a very nasty condition for drivers to go out there and race in today. 19-degree track temperature as we focus with the number 1 car out there of number 2 car of Jacob Reed, as the number 1 car is Aldris Valenteius out there, but on the brakes in through the left-hand bend of the Torre VIP, which is the VIP Tower corner, and looking to put a qualifying time on the board. Number 2 for the P2, he got to finish his iRacing Grand Prix Tour season off, Craig, earlier on this week, or yesterday, I should say, as he was just 4 seconds short of beating James Byrne in that race.
Yeah, it's been an unfortunate season for the GP World Tour for him, but a great season in the Vintage. And a little bit of a slide there coming out of turn 11 as he goes down into the final parts here at 13. Had a real good run today in the 49s. I'm hoping to really just transfer that as he comes around the final few corners flat out now as they go downhill. Can use a bit of this curve, use as much as you want, but you've got to be careful not to get that off track. And with a lot of tarmac runoff here today, you'll see the drivers really flirt with that drive-through penalty just because they'll be trying to be a little bit too aggressive on the line. But across the line, Jacob Reed will go. And the champion, he sets the standard with a 27.304.
Yeah, lovely time. There's the other champion, Noel Lundberg, yet to put a time down on the board. Of course, with 2 laps available, not using all of the road then in either corner there of 12 into 13 of Sagres. And now the run coming out in towards Galpi is certainly going to make the difference. Look at this, down the hill, massive drop. Andreas Schuster goes second. Mickey Friesen goes fastest then on top. We'll see whether that will change on a 41.6. It will. Lundberg's got a 41.4 down on the board, enough to go fastest by almost a 1/10.5.
Yeah, just when you thought it would get a little bit better for Friesen, unfortunately loses out on the pole. Gabriel Martinez now trying to find on his 2nd lap some time and looking for some time. The key thing for him, he is ahead of Aleza Jack by a big margin right now. But it's not about the fastest times, it's about the fastest race time at the end of the day. He'll come across the line, not hugging the corner very tightly at the end of Galpi, but he'll come across the line for 27.3. It's faster, puts him onto 3rd, beats out Raul Rochas Guardia, but this is the man who's only 300th behind Jacob Reed, the number 1 of Valenteus.
Well, he's got another lap, has the gold standard, and so Aldrius knows he's got to be absolutely on it. Well, make that now nearly 4/10, 26.9 from Jacob Reed. Maestro, start playing the band music up over the top of Portimao corner here. Double apex right, back down the hill, looking for turn 12 and the parabolic style corners at 13 and 14. An Iberian staple. You see it at the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. You see it at Estoril. You see it here at Portimao as Elena Jacques goes 5th with his time, which is 0.777 back, right up on the curb. All 4 tyres on it, but not over it critically to keep the lap in check and driving for the line. Aldrius Valenteus 27.2 can't get enough. Improved, but not quite by enough. And Noel Lundberg goes to a 41.3 to just say money. 3/10 clear.
Yeah, very good time from Lundberg. I think Valenteus, after you see some drift, may have left a little bit on the table there. It felt like he was a little bit slow out of 14. Just couldn't get the power down on that ridge of the hill. Just unfortunate there. Just a few more drivers coming across the line. Lars Olsen just getting some more practice out there. Everybody else has set their time. Going to be an interesting one. That is quite a big gap between the leaders and P2 in both classes.
And it's also a big gap in terms of times between class to class. So we'll take a look at how they stack as it will fall over around this cratered hill around this section of the world. Jacob Reed then clears Aldrius Valenteus by almost 3/10, with Gabri Martinez starting in 3rd with a compatriot in Raul Rosses alongside for company. Christophe Lenajak will start in 5th ahead of Henning Schwebig, who could only get 1 lap in due to a meatball flag in qualifying. Brendan Lim and Jack Wells will house row number 4. Seamus Power has a tendency to move up in races like these. He starts 9th with Davide Riccardi in 10th. It will then follow with Gael Gonzalez in 11th position. Laust Olsen will be 12th, and Fabian Youngblood, the last to set a time, in 13th. And then your final 3 in this single split of running: Lance Simon, Emilio Dechari, and then Jake Gittus, the Brit, who will be in that 16th position. It's now over to the GTO field with Craig King.
Well, Noel Lundberg has another pole position, followed up by Mickey Friesen, who comes back after a couple weeks off. Cal Young will be in 3rd alongside with Joni Hagner, battling Johan Van Hicks for 2nd in the championship, who will start in 5th. And then Andreas Schuster will be in 6th, followed by Josh Brain, and then Timothy Reed in 8th. Josephine Becker caps off a fantastic 49s, comes home into 9th. Corbin Pollock will be 10th. And then that's one of the drivers battling for 2nd place in the GTO Juniors. This is the man in 2nd at the moment, Martin Krajcik. He'll be in 11th. Brandon White, champion there, will be in 12th. Henry Mackie also battling for the Juniors in 13th, with Richard Hyman as well. Jack David Spickett failed to set a time out there. Sloy Russ did not go out for any times. That's your 16 GTOs. It's a cold morning, Jake. I feel like we need to call this the Fog Bowl, but I think an NFL game took that over.
I think they did, and so at least for today, it is the race where nobody can see. You know, I actually once called a demolition derby race at Mendips Raceway once in the fog. It was so bad I couldn't see the front stretch in front of me. There was a fire on the back stretch, Craig, and nobody could see it, so they red flagged the race.
It's the Mendips. You and I know the Mendips. That sounds like a normal day in the Mendips for us, but you would have thought with a bit of heat, you might have just cleared up the fog, but well, we'll race in any conditions. Thankfully, I know the aerial camera just a little bit foggy here today, but the drivers, they do get a nice bit of running. But of course, if it is a little bit foggy, Jake, that also means the humidity is going to be high as well. 94% humidity out there today, going to be affecting the speeds a little bit here. May catch the drivers out a little due to that. We may see some drivers going a little bit too wide on some of these corners today.
Yeah, you can drink the air out there, and these drivers all know and understand it. Noel Lundberg in control of category, and those GTOs will need to play a very good game. A lot of high-speed corners. That final sector is going to be the biggest change-up of where you're going to see the difference between the categories out there, and maybe Primera corner as well. Turn number 1 out there on track is going to make a huge difference. It's a jutting right-hand corner that sometimes is run as a 3-part chicane to go through, but that run through turn 1, you just have to hit your marks and hope you're not scrubbling out wide.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, that also just links up into turn 2 and turn 3 at Lagos as well, where if you just don't get it right, you have to compromise there for the drivers. So interesting to see what happens there when drivers try to cut in very quickly. Just a quick development on the GTOs, Jake. Cal Young, who was meant to start in 3rd, had a disconnect, and we don't know where he is, and that's not what you want to see. It will put Joni Hagner on, well, actually put Johan van Hicks alongside Joni Hagner here for the start of the GTOs. That's going to be an explosive start, especially with that turn 1 that we were just talking about at Primera.
So, if that brings another car to the party, it will mean now that everybody is sitting down and going, yeah, our chance for this season is going to look a little bit easier. Joni Hagner knows it's bigger points. The closer he is to the top, the less he's going to have to worry about Joram van Hicks, because if he's improving, Joram's improving, that's going to be a difference maker. They walk into today in Audi 90 GTO together in overall with a gap of 6 points in the championship. Van Hicks with a 3rd place can gain 6 points. Joni Hagner's worst finish is 18 points, which is a 4th place finish. So he could gain 4 points today with a 2nd place out there. Van Hicks would then have to go and win the race in order to make it work. But who's going to argue with Noel Lundberg? Who's going to argue with Jacob Reed, who's looking to put together a mathematically flawless season here today? That's what he's racing for, perfection. The only driver to take wins off of him, Aldris Valenterius, the number 1 alongside him then as they get themselves set. Now through Galpi corner. They will wait for the Porsche iRacing first safety car to dive down to the right-hand side and up the hill, creating this plateau of a wonderful straight out there, sort of reminiscent of Table Mountain a little bit, but whose mountain will climb and whose table is set all over to the right. Huge launch off the start by Jacob Reed. We're underway. 3 wide behind there for 4th, 5th and 6th as they lean. Valenterius under pressure as they work through. GTOs go, and Valenterius is around.
Oh, big wreck here. 4, 5, 6 cars all getting caught. GTO's just about to come here. Can they get out the way? Lundberg had a fantastic run. Are they just going to get this all slowed down? All the drivers thankfully start rolling, but that has affected things. Friesen manages to get ahead of the drivers, and Van Hicks is threatening Joni Hagner, who gets pushed around the outside there at Lagos, and that is not the start Hagner wanted to see. Van Hicks will go ahead. Schuster goes ahead. Becker's gone around, unfortunately. What a great day. It's gone worse for her.
Yeah, not brilliant. She's picked up a title, but now 3 wide as they dive in. That's going to be late on the brakes around Jack David Spickett, absolutely monstering, and has turned Lance Simon around, who will have to now try and find a circuit. If he's not careful, he'll get disqualified for going backwards too far. So Lance then having an absolute nightmare of a race out there, but Van Hicks chasing Friesen, chasing Lundberg at the moment, and Joram has got exactly what he wants here, getting himself ahead of Joni Hagner, and now freedom to go hunt down the cars in front.
Well, here's Mickey Friesen as he gets on battling. I'm just looking at the debris and damage on the back of that GTP field while we're looking at this, and Valenterius had a lot of damage out there. Brendan Lim had the meatball flag. Alyssa Jack also a little bit of damage. Gabriel Martinez managed to get around it. These drivers thankfully got safe, and Mickey Friesen has not been having the best of times since coming home, and I'm going to give a shout out to Mickey. All the best. We know that you're having a little bit of water issues after some flooding in the household, and hoping to really just get a nice way to finish the weekend with a nice little victory here. Valenterius has taken a tow, by the way. His race is done.
He's absolutely done, dusted there, and that's going to hurt him, a driver who has knocked about the 9K iRating mark, and any hit from there, that's 200 almost, that you'll see lopped off of your ELO, and if you lose that mark, it'll take you about 10 races to go and gather it back up again. It's tough out there when you've got to have 10 flawless races and then one bad day, and suddenly you just take an absolute tank. But that is just how tough it is going to be. The whole key was Henning Schwebig on that start, as we'll take a little look back at what happened off the beginning. Henning Schwebig there on the left-hand side. Now watch, 5th and 6th there were having a little bit of a moment as they came together, but Henning round the outside, no contact, and then Gabri Martinez gets a little pinched on the inside, naturally runs out, and then everybody scatters. Krejcik there has definitely jumped in. Elena Jacques was one of them to drop down, and then, of course, the big issue out there was for Brendan Lim, who had to get spread eagle sideways to avoid anything. Jacob Reed, fastest lap, he now knows he's just got to run away to hit his perfection mark.
Yeah, that's all he needs to do. And I do feel it's a little bit unfortunate there for Gabri Martinez, because he would not have known that Valenteus was forced to go tighter to go 3 wide. Very crazy. We talked about it before the race, that fast left-hander, Primera, at turn 1. And you can just go to see that it can provide things, but maybe one of those planes you had to run, but you had to run due to the long straight. How long you had to run on that straight. Maybe it would have been better just to play it safe on lap 1 on turn 1. You can't win it in turn 1, but for 3 drivers today, they've lost it in turn 1. In fact, Elizajak had to take a pit stop there to get some damage fixed. That might be all she wrote for P3 in the championship.
Well, it will do, because Elena Jacques going to have to run a mile up the order. He's down 18 seconds at the moment here in this race, and so he's going to have to try and work his way up to the likes of Gabri Martinez, who he himself is only 10 seconds off at the moment. He's just put the pass down on the Toyota-inspired livery of Emilio Dicciari, but Dicciari, then the Argentine, comes back. It's old world versus new world, and Emilio not trying to give this one up, but for the moment can't quite get enough. Look at the old school sim rig out there at the moment. It's as basic as a wheel with an H-pattern shifter.
And now his championship in the juniors is over. You got P in the 2 in the championship. He doesn't need to worry about that now. He can race with a lot of fun out there, and that's what he's trying to do. Going to be tough to catch up to Gabri, but Gabri's not looking good in the mid to slow speed corners at the moment. So that'll be one to look at when the traffic comes. Gail Gonzalez trying to battle the veteran, Lars Olsen. No man has driven more races by one person in the GTPs on broadcast than Lars Olsen. And I think you can work out who that one man is. Of course, it's Aitor. We go 007. It's always nice to see Lars back. Had a bit of a tough year of injuries and setbacks, and here he is right now, battling in 6th, up 6 places. Really good to see this man back in the top 10.
It is very nice to see what he's capable of doing, and Joran van Hicks now trying to push Mickey Friesen along the straight. They're trying to stay with Noel Lundberg. In the middle of all of them is Christophe Elenijak, who, yes, now 51 seconds adrift after making that stop. Now needs a miracle to go and get things sorted. Josephine Becker as well in a scrap. She's down there in 11th place, and that's with Martin Krejcik then to avoid. So there is going to be a lot to try and get through, working around the corners. And after Lagos, turn 4 up the hill, you can pin it around the outside and get the speed. And it's there, and the pinch then's going to bring Torben Paulik then. So can Torben go there 3 wide, because there was a bit of grass pickup there by the likes of Josephine. She leaves just enough room on that outside, pinches down on Torben Paulik, and that there, very DTM-ish, the way to hold that move.
Well, the German driver showing German moves on another German, and for a split second there, she almost got turned around by Foreman there, almost a pit maneuver, not on purpose. It was just the way she put the car, but turned in early. I was surprised to see that, because she would have got the call of 3 wide. She was on the outside, so that's 2 moves around the outside that she's had to do to hold it. Great battling there on such a corner as well. It's one of the tighter hairpins, Tora VIP. However, it is still a corner that you can really make things work due to that elevation change coming down from 4. She's made the most of it. She's starting to pull ahead.
She very much is, and it's a case of those who would normally run in GTP a little out of position, now into it. Jack Wells then in 3rd position, Henning Schwebig 2nd, and Davide Riccardi from 10th on the grid, holding on to the rear here in 4th. I said Seamus would make moves. He's up to 5th.
Good to see Seamus back as well, holding on as well. He's up 4 places. Riccardi Olsen, Dechari up 6. Everybody else there, Van Hicks. Wow, he's up 2 as well. When you look at the GTOs, they're keeping it calm. Jack David Spickett, I know he didn't set a qualifying time because he didn't actually set 2 valid ones. He's up 8 places. He's only 4 seconds behind these drivers, and there he is, looking to make some moves, and that's very tough to make that. Look at that brain, having to turn in at some point, but I think that was a hesitation turn in there from Josh, a little bit late. It's going to set up Jack to try and make a move, but he'll have to do it around the outside of 7. Ooh. Oh, that's very nicely done, though. Made that work, and Jack, he's up 8, 9 places now.
Big brain moves from Jack David Spickett to get his passes sorted. Outside of 7 to Samsung of 8. Through Craig Jones at turn 9. Named in memorial after the motorcycle rider who lost his life at that corner. And then down through Portimao, they now head. Joran Van Hicks happy. It's a group of 4. The one issue for Joran Van Hicks right now, he can't shake that Glacier racing car off the rear. That number 3 of Joni Hagner, who has seen it all in sim racing, has done it all in sim racing.
Yep, but at the same time, they're happy with this at the moment. They've got to wait for the first run of traffic, and as I say that, they're through the first run of traffic. There's Gabriel Martinez having some battle in the picture, trying to get past Lars Olsen as well, and maybe going to get this move done around the outside of turn 13, sorry. No, but it gets the overlap. Sagres, they'll go side by side, and Laus is going to try and hold on, but even though there's elevation change there, it's so tough to hold that around the outside because there is a shallower dip on the outside. Gabriel just goes with the undulations of the track and gets that position.
I tell you what, in the words of Carlos Sainz in a Duracell advert, they boosted the bunny and it is flying at the moment. There's a chance where Laus Olsen can get close, and he's not quite there at this stage, knowing Gabriel Martinez has made that pass and gone through. Riccardi now sits on the back of Wells, on the back of Schwebig. They will know they've got limited time, but they are picking up the dregs of the GTOs at this moment in time. So Krajcik and Paulik and Becker and White, they'll have 2 lots of 2. Schwebing on the light saying, look, let me through. Oh, almost takes that Martin Krajcik completely out of contention there through turn 7.
Yeah, and that's not a corner you can make a move there. We've got Jack Wells as well. But it's behind you. See the picture-in-picture. You get the onboard from Ricciardi. You get the camera view here from Sweb from as well. And they're just all getting held up here at the moment. It's so tough. They're catching them at the worst time of the track, the slower sections. That's what can David really do here, trying to just find a way. And whatever Jack makes, he has to follow. And that's what he's doing right now, is to come out of 13 down into 14. David wanted to turn in there. He wanted to follow the curvature of the track. He had to take the long way around, similar to what Laus had to do. That cost him a little bit of time out there, but he's still in that rubber band there, and I think that's going to be crucial for these drivers. Stay inside the rubber band here. Don't let it snap. The start line should be your friend.
It should now, as Jacob Reed dives for the inside. He's going to force the angle open on Mickey Friesen. Lundberg, who's been given 8/9 tenths of a second and a clear place for Jacob Reed to go through. Last thing they want, Joran Van Hicks now knows he's either got to make this move or he can't. Down the inside, oh, there's a tag, and Joni Hagner just about gets out of the way of it as they go through. Van Hicks up to second, Friesen down to third, and now a second behind Noel Lundberg.
And normally when you get contact like that, you don't usually see the car swerve like it did, but you can see Mickey, he's got one hand on the steering wheel because the other hand is on the gear shifter. So he has to try and hold that little contact there with one hand. That can be really tough, and he's done a good job there. Yes, he had kind of a bit of help there with Joni right beside, but now he's going to have to try and work, and you can see he's a little bit more smoother. He looks a little bit looser, but that's better in this car. He's got a bit more control, and he looks quicker through the slower stuff compared to Van Hicks. I think he wants to get this position back, not due to revenge, but just due to the fact that he feels quicker right now. But if he makes a mistake like that, he loses all that time to Joran Van Hicks.
It's not that much in terms of a mistake by comparison. We're talking about 1.5 tenths, 2 tenths of a second. Here comes Schwebig and Jack Wells. Look at that, having to take avoiding action. They both go into the green paint to avoid getting caught up. That's what happens. Here comes Jonny Hagner. This will really hurt Joran van Hicks if he gets this done. Mickey doesn't give up, though, on the outside. Now needs to drive then through turn 2, but it is Hagner's. Here comes Seamus Power to the inside. 3 wide they'll be. On the apex, Hagner gets one in the door. Friesen lifts off of it to say, look, you got that pass done. I didn't mean to make contact like that. And the changes then being made. Big wide line by Jonny Hagner then as he holds 3rd place and has lost contact with the front 2.
Lost contact, but may get it back due to this battle with Gabri and Olsen right beside them, as Gabri having to try to find a way through to just wait a moment and gets it done. A little bit of surprise there from Mickey to turn into Hagner, and I think he may have not got that 3 wide call until he started making the movements on the steering wheel, and that just cost him a little bit. But this is good now for Yoni. Yes, he got held up by Laus Dolson a little bit there because the GTOs get a little bit more speed through the middle of that corner, the exit of that corner, but now he's got clear sight of Joran van Hicks. He knows what he needs to do. He just also has to make sure he keeps his eyes on the rear mirror because you've still got half the GTP field to come.
Yeah, and there's a big slide from Raul Rosses, who is in 8th place as he tries to just tiptoe his way around at this moment in time. He's got damage on the front left of the Essex Lotus colours, and then working around the outside, calmly dispatches of that at the moment. So it's all big and battle in GTO. GTP, look at the gap. Over 11 seconds at the front of this field. It is walkaway territory at this moment, and what we call just another Saturday drive for Jacob Reed.
Just another Saturday drive, and unfortunately for Valenteus, I was informed, same incident, same corner, same type of incident for Valenteus that he had in the Lotus 49s today. It's not been the best of days because remember, the 49s are here as well. We're here as well today as Corbin Pollock now tries to get a little bit side by side with Craytrick, and Craytrick makes that move around the outside to get that stuck. And I'm loving this, Jake. These are Audi GTOs, but some of these guys at the back and girls at the back of the field, like you said, they are driving this DTM style. They're driving this like a touring car. This is some real fun out there today, just to see the drivers just get their elbows out a little bit more and just let the hair down. It's late braking for Corbin Pollock. Well, that's not what you want to see.
No, and Torben in a mock-up Opel at the moment, trying to make it all work. Everything is all about where do you find the battles just in front of them. Brandon White trying to get through, as now is Jack David Spickett, leaning to try and find a way, plus Andreas Schuster for position. An honorary Finn in iRacing is JDS because he is lightning fast when he puts his mind to races out there. So you now see where he wants to be getting this done. The 12 versus the 7, but right now Andreas proving why he's got more iRating because he's very, very consistent.
But this season has been the turnaround season for JDS. Really started to put it together now, starting to really get the head down. Couple victories in the Lotus 479, a fantastic victory at the GTOs at Barcelona. We're here in Iberia. Maybe he can get another good victory here or another good result in Algarve. I do wonder, with that move easily done from Schuster, 4 seconds up the road is Mickey Friesen. I'm looking at the time. They're not quick at the moment for JDS, but he's been following. I still think, though, we're not even halfway. That 4 seconds is nothing if he's got clear tracks. And not only has he got clear track, he's got no traffic to worry about coming past him.
No worries, no problems. A little look back from Andreas Schuster isn't going to see that one through. We have lost Shloy Rouge out there from this race as a retiree from this one. Brendan Lim has got the car back out, 4 laps down, and Richard Heinemann out there had to come in very early and make a stop because he put the quali set on rather than the race set. Easily done.
I've never done it, but that's just me being a little bit...
I've never raced, so I'm fine.
Yeah, it is doable. It is doable. Sometimes you have to tell your driver to put a post-it note on his monitor. You know who you are. You put a post-it note on your monitor to remind you to put the race setup on. People have done it. It does happen. By the way, Valenteus, with Lim going back out there, he will officially be last. That is 150 iRating drop for him today as Lundberg just wants to make sure the traffic is favorable to him as he comes around the final few corners. And Van Hicks, this is just where he wants. Hagner is struggling out there. The elastic band is getting brittle. And if he can get the run here, I don't think he'll get the run here on Lundberg. He's just going to wait. But that allows that elastic band to just get more life in it, Jake. But how much can it last? I feel, give it a couple more laps. I think Hagner may be losing the back here.
Well, this is a case of, is it pace you want, or is it presence? 41.8 plays a 41.9, so it's only a 10 over the lap, but at 0.7 of a second, Joran Van Hicks can't get too much closer here to Noel Lundberg in the band of others, Audi 90 GTO, without pushing him through each and every single corner. And if that is the case, Craig, that he can't find a way to push himself through the corners, then you are going to drop a couple tenths of a second here and there and everywhere. We take a little look at Emilio Dachari now in 11th place, has dropped back and lost a couple out there, but this is what is proving to be difficult. You can't stay too close, and if the gap stays in and around that range of 0.7, it's not going to break. It needs more from Noel, or Joram's going to have to go passing.
It does, but at the same time, the GTOs are pretty comfortable. As we see Jack Davis Pickett making another move. That's a little bit of a slide. And then rise the sausage curb, and he's going to have to do it all again there, Jack. You had that done, and then you're going to have to redo it. But good recovery there as he's battling George Brain. But we know the characteristics of the GTO drivers and the GTOs. They like to stay in a train here, Jay. They're happy enough. Van Hicks won't attack unless he's got the run. And you can see he's 3 tenths. By the time he gets right on the bumper here of Lundberg, it's time to start thinking about braking, and he'll just start lifting. And you watch it, there he goes, right up to the bumper, hits the brakes. There's nothing he can do right now. This is playing in Hagner's hands.
Well, Joni Hagner will be scoring 20 points here from this 3rd place that he sits in at the moment. It'll be enough to improve his score by 2 to 213. By comparison, Joran Van Hicks, who is in 2nd, would improve his score by 8, and that would put him on to, you guessed it, 213. So it would go down to tie-break, and Joran Van Hicks has 1 win, and it's 3 wins this season for Joni Hagner. So as it stands, it's as simple as this. Joran's got to get by Noel Lundberg to take 2nd in the championship.
And that's possible. But Lundberg has had one of the best seasons, and Fabry's gone around. And that's not what he wants to see, because he was having such a good time. And that's a lot of damage on the side of that car. A lot of damage as he tried to go in for what could be a late move there on Seamus Power, it feels like. And just hit the sausage curve, and the car just said no. That's the sort of damage that made Valenteus retire the car.
Yeah, we saw earlier on with Jack David Spickett, it was Jack be nimble, Jack be quick, Jack jump over the sausage curb, and I think Gabriel Martinez read the little rhyme and said, my turn.
It might have been his turn, but unfortunately it's not worked for him. And that, it being with all these high-speed corners, high-speed straights, he's going to be struggling. He's lost a few positions, but got to keep our eyes on David Ricciardi, trying to make the most of what has been a hectic start to the race. He finds himself in 4th position, but the lead battle is not changing once again. We always expect it, Jake. It's so tough to outbrake a car, a GTO, in a GTO, and that's why you don't see it a lot. And that's why, like the moves we saw by JDF, the move we saw by Josephine Becker, those are impressive because you have to really work to get that car to make everything.
Slow down penalty. Noel Lundberg has to get on the binders, and so there is the change that was so necessary. Either that or a missed shift puts Joran Van Hicks now in 2nd place position in the championship. Now, Joni Hagner, if he wants it, just has to try and work his way back by Lundberg.
Yeah, and I'm just looking. I think that has to be a missed shift. That has to be a missed shift there from Lundberg, which is a rarity for him. It does feel like that's not something he is used to, but yeah, the more I look back at this, it does feel like he just could not get the car shifted. Not what he wants, and yeah, he was just battling. In fact, yeah, missed the gear, and he almost redlined it. We may have almost been saying ominous pappen there. We may have seen some smoke, managed to get that gear in time.
Lucky. It's a lot easier to pop an engine here in iRacing on the downshifts rather than the up, but the Audi 90 GTO, we've got to remember that this category, this is the 1980s as Jack Wells loses out. Davide Ricciardi, too deep though. Jack's going to go and just sweep him back under the rug as he goes by in through 12, now to 13 here along this run. Now over to Sagres Corner with the long lap penalty on the outside. You talk about these cars being of the old generation, it means they are highly strung.
Highly strung. You can hear the turbo wheeze and pops and bangs, and you love it. And as also, we always say the GTOs, one of the toughest cars to drive on the sim because of the gear shift, because of the downshift. Davide Ricciardi almost anchored Jack Wells there, and then just went a bit too deep. And well, we just wait for it. Can we just see that again? We are going to see that again. Watch this. Jack had to go around the outside here, and you just start to see Forbin. There it is. And that's a real good heads-up move there from Ricciardi. That's a veteran-like move in multi-class aspects, and you don't see that a lot. And for a man that, again, he is still a junior driver to make a heads-up play like that, really good. Just a shame he forgot his braking point.
Well, what you got to remember is that when you play with traffic, traffic is told to be predictable. So when you try and pass, you always try and pass one side of the traffic. You can sometimes work and do what happened there, but it is the exception to the rule. And I always say it like this, Craig. Once you know how to run the rules of endurance style racing or multi-class style racing, only then can you break them.
Exactly, and there you have to add another factor here. You would have to put a sub-rule in for these cars, because remember, the GTOs, they can't deviate off their line like a GTP can. Once they're in the corner, once they're tracking out on the exit apex, they can't do anything different. And you have to respect that as well. So you have to remember what the car does, and then where the car finishes. If you're the GTP, you have to be predictable. Talking about predictable, this isn't anything like predictable. Van Hicks almost got overtaken there by Lundberg. And Lundberg, hello, he almost lost out to the only Hagner there.
Stuck in Schrodinger's overtake, attack and defend at the same time. Josh Brain loses the place to Jack David Spickett in GTOs, but up the hill they go. 1, 2, 3. It's you three Musketeers once again. The Glacier Racing Polar Bear watches on as Joni Hagner goes down into Torre VIP. Can't get the run. 15 minutes to go. How long is time going to be made?
Well, time is a gypsy caravan. It steals away the night, so Neil Peart once said, but we're not in a dreamland today. Hagner really needs to just find some lines, and I thought he had some good apexes there, but he's losing time here. He's still in that little toe, and I feel like, is this the limit? Is this the limit for the driver? And that sounds a surprise. I don't think it is, because that was a lock-up there from Van Hicks as well. That just backs up Lundberg a little bit. I feel, with the race coming down to the wire now, we may start to see these drivers, they know they've got a big lead over Mickey Friesen right now. They may give it a couple laps of attacking, and if it brings Friesen back in, they can just wait, push him back again, and then go for attack again.
There's Henning Schwebig. He is just behind Joni Hagner now, and there he goes, just cutting his way through. And so now you've got a case of him away from Ricciardi and Wells. So he's built the gap now, 2 seconds. He'll try and just stay away in that second, but Lundberg again's getting clearance. Now they're side by side. This is going to be dangerous as they hit the brakes. Lundberg was very alert and open to it. Anything else of that, it would have been a Vicar of Dibley overtake. And when I say that, it would have been no. Yes.
Yes, but at the same time, oh no, Ricciardi, it's got a little bit too late on the throttle there. May have missed his gear and just cost him. Lundberg almost turned him around. Lundberg almost got some damage. Seamus now going to try and fight this as well. On the outside, he can't. And who does this favor? This favors the man leading the GTOs right now. Do you hear that elastic band snapping, Jake? It's at the end. Van Hicks almost got a second lead just with the traffic.
Yeah, 0.8 of a second, but can't get the drive through the corner, needs the run over the top of the crest and over the exit. Seamus Power now wants in on it. Noel Lundberg then in second position, wants to give as much credence to overtaking as possible here and working with it. Jonny Hagner stays in range, but that is now extended out in that group, just flicking over a second on the power before the brakes hit in. Down goes Laust Olsen, making a move, and this is where you're starting to sense for Jonny Hagner that the difference maker is now here.
And now he has to look for the difference, and the scary thing for him, 2.5 seconds behind the next GTP, it's the damaged Gabriel Martinez. I haven't seen him try to overtake a GTO on the straight. There he is. I wonder, is that damage enough? Is he going to be able to get the overspeed? Because we've seen this before with damaged GTPs. They have the speed, but only just, and it's not a lot. It's not a lot there for Gabriel, but he gets on by. That's going to be helpful for Jonny. But again, he actually has to start working this. 12 minutes to go. The gap is growing, and the traffic around them, there is none. And there's probably only going to be one more run of traffic after this, and Jack David Spickett continues this stride. And Schuster, well, he almost lost it. Got it, just had a slide. Jack almost had another overtake.
And we talk about this as well. You will see it over the top of Samsung Corner. The GTOs have wonderful mechanical grip compared to the GTPs. And so around a circuit like this, they'll get a march for about 150 meters before the power and the turbocharger spools up from the GTPs and allows them to run away, which makes it very difficult to clear through various corners. Look how early you can put the power down on the GTO by comparison.
Yeah, and this is what's been helping them today. And this is one of those tracks which is probably a bane for the GTPs, despite it's so fast, because the multi-class aspect here, you don't get that with a modern-day LMP2 on a GT3 or an LMP3. Well, an LMP3 doesn't really matter, but you get the idea. You don't get that modern, so this is where that classic aspect comes in. And the drivers do get this on certain tracks as well, in certain corners, but to have it constantly due to the elevation changes here is something they're not used to, and that's where you're seeing a lot of moments here. Seamus Power looking for a moment. He does get the side-by-side, but he loses out as they come through to turn 4.
Well, Seamus Power needs to get himself on it if he wants to get by Riccardi side by side to Tony VIP. And now as he moves by the famous tower, he's got it. Seamus Power up to 4th place. And Davide Riccardi, who had eyes on a podium a few laps ago, now down the positions into 5th as Andreas Schuster on the top of your screen remains in his 3-car scrap at the moment, trying to deal with the German. He's through on him. He'll now know that Josh Brain still sits there and still tries to work the magic to make it happen. Power to that 4th place, and now trying to hold the 5-10 minutes. Jacob Reed, Aura Farming, a 28-4.
28-4, we almost had the overtake in the GTOs. Jonny Hagner going down to Torre VIP, almost made the move on Lundberg. He had a mare of a hairpin there, but he's managed to get it under control as Jonny had the wrong line to get the throttle down out of there as you hit the 6 and 7. Just the way the car and the hill just starts to just twist and turn and up and down. And this is like a roller coaster around here. You start to see the ebbs and flows. Jonny's gone up 1 today, but that's not the story. He needs to go up 2, and he's struggling, but they have closed the gap to Van Hicks. Traffic did indeed give, and traffic did indeed take. What has Jonny got, though? Because he's losing out as he comes out of turn 14.
Well, this is the final phase of the race, so you got to put all your chips down now on the table. Jonny Hagner maybe just doesn't have as much drive off of the exit compared to some of the other drivers out there. And now here comes the drive from Noel Lundberg in the band of others' car. He will look to jam himself on the brakes. It's a downhill braking zone to turn 1. That's why you got to be a little bit earlier. And Raul Rosses now looking for a place by the damaged Fabian Youngblood. You can see the front of that Minolta-esque car then struggling about for it. Easy as you like. Thank you, says Raul Rosses. I'll move up 1 more. Noel Lundberg now trying to eye 1 up into Tony VIP. He goes to the inside late, but realizes midway through the braking zone, I ain't going to get nowhere close.
And then he carried a lot more speed into the back and almost ran into the back of Van Hicks. He had to lift, even with smoking the tires. And track is, you see the fog? What fog? It's burned away. It's 22 Celsius track temp. The sun has come out now at 10 a.m. in the morning sim time, and Yoni is right on the back with 8 minutes to go. Probably about 5 laps to go if you're these cars. More traffic comes on by as well as Brendan Lim, with a bit of a damaged car, just tries to work his way through. But Lundberg is trying to hold this position because he wants to win the race, but he also knows behind is a raging Glacier Racing, but more locking up from the front two drivers. I've not seen Joni Hagner lock his brakes up yet, Jake. These tyres are being well nurtured. Watch out for the final 5 minutes.
I wonder whether he's just trying to play his cards as late as he can to be as ice cold as a glacier. You have to be able to work in the clutch, and Joni Hagner has done it time and time again. Lundberg and Van Hicks, will they get drawn into a race between themselves for the win, or will it be a case of what goes on? Look at the defence here by Joran Van Hicks. He now tries to pinch back to the outside. Noel Lundberg through Primera. Turn 1, wide goes Lundberg. Here comes Joni Hagner now. Can't quite get the run because it's balked off. Heading in through 2 and into 3. As you were, Lax.
As you were, and interestingly, I think Yoni's doing a bit of lifting here. I think he's not trying to be late on the brakes, and I think this is why he's managed these tyres better. Istachari goes on by as well with Elisacek right behind, and a little bit of shaking. That's not the corner, that's not the line, but I think he'll take the slow down there and he'll allow Elisacek to get on past him. But yeah, that's this is interesting because look at Yoni. Now he's starting to really see that Lundberg is under pressure here because he wants to get past Van Hick. He can't get past Van Hick, and he's starting to struggle out there as Krejcik. These guys, the DTM drivers, just calm it down still. In the corner of picture-in-picture, Krejcik, Harlan, and Cal Young still battling here for more positions.
Remember, Cal Young here is just trying to stay out of trouble. Jack Wells is in the mix of this as well. Cal Young, remember, had a disconnect at the start of the race and is trying to recover back, get anything possible out of this to number 6. So he's going to want to get by them quick, but it is still those drivers there holding 1, 2, and 3, and any chances of moves get robbed by Seamus Power through Samsung corner and up over the top of the crest. Oh, nowhere to go for Seamus. Davide Ricciardi now can pick up a run here. Through on the outside, they'll both jump to the inside to get the credence and clearance, and so now you're really noting here that late on in this race, traffic slowly playing its factor.
Yeah, and the key thing is you've still got groups out there in the traffic. You've still got the top 3 in the GTOs battling. You've got 5th, 6th, and 7th battling. You've got this at 11, 12, and 13 still battling. So you just think it's just one car. Just a small speed bump. It's a big train. It's almost like you've got your mobile motorway works here, but there are people there working on it, and there are people that are really driving you mad at your GTP. Your GTOs, it's just another day in the office. Yoni still can't find the way through. Was a tenth faster last time by, but a tenth really doesn't matter when you're in a train.
So, as they go and work out, this is where I would now start thinking about the next stage of this race. The final runs that you've got, I would look around and say, okay, where is the move going to happen? Because you can look left, you can look right, you can look up, you can look down. There's no guarantees on any passes, so now hold yourself steady and find the right place to get it done. Noel there at turn 12 looks like he can get a run potentially and send it. You're looking in the final 4 minutes. We've seen the 50% moves, we've seen the 40% moves. When do the 20% moves, the 10% moves, the moves where you're just throwing it and hope that you close your eyes and you pray you're through? That's what you're looking for. Great run by Noel Lundberg. Immediately Joran Van Hicks over to the right-hand side. Here comes the chance now to get this move. And Noel going over. He'll have to work it. Joran, there's contact as they work through. Joran was never going to let that go. They both go screaming straight on in the corner. Lundberg's got the overlap now to Lagos at turn 3. Hagner, eyes bigger than the belly, looks around, and now a turn in. There's no room there. And Joran Van Hicks is going to try and do it, but Lundberg runs out of grip. Now they're going to be almost 3 wide, heading themselves down, and another missed shift.
That's not what Lundberg needed. This is what Yoni needs, and he goes to the inside, and now they're going to keep on battling. That moment on the start line was just Van Hick trying to just get back to the middle of the road, and Lundberg said no. And Yoni gets that P2 that he needs, but he wants more. He really wants more, but Lundberg,
Needs
what
more.
could have been? It is now P. It is deep as well. This is perfect. You called it right, Jake. What's the lottery numbers?
7. As they go through and try and figure it out, it's Joni Hagner who needs this pass. He needs to get through. He's 1 point down for that second place in the championship, and he just can't pick the pocket at Portimao. Now they'll run back down the hill. Noel's not going to sit by and say no for an answer. Here goes Joni Hagner trying to absolutely uncork one down the inside. He'll have to go the long way around Sagres, and if he can pick his nose and say, I can go and get that, well, it's bogeys to you. If you can go and make it happen, he is all over the back. Down through Galpi, they'll have traffic on the outside in Lance Simon. We've got 2 minutes 20 to go, and now watch out Joram, because again he will go all the way to the pit wall, force the outside line, and now Joni Hagner, who saw what happened to Noel Lundberg earlier on, he goes all the way to the left hand side, doesn't get much of a pitch, so he can really try and lean through the corner. Henning Schwebig jumps up on the scene, side by side through 2, now side by side into Lagos at turn 3, and to say that at 4, Joni Hagner, absolutely ace. He will try and push out Van Hicks through the corner, and Van Hicks is having none of it.
Van Hick still wants this, but Yoni has to give the space and late on the braking, which is tough on the hairpin and tough in the GTOs. But Van Hicks, it does not work. Yoni gets it, he shuts the door, and he says, you shall not pass. Still a little bit of overlap, but it will be late braking. I'll tell you what, Van Hicks is going to try this, and that's fantastic battling. They're still going side by side. They're still banging doors, and now Van Hicks says, it too, Joni Hagner. Brilliant racing right now. They're only going to get 1 lap to go, and still, Joni's looking for moves. He can't find it. Where's the leader? The leader's coming across the start-finish line.
So Jacob Reed, who's got 35 seconds worth of lead by our measure of metric right now, can say it's all ours, but all the chances open up because through goes Seamus Power, and that opens up a half a chance then here at Sagres. Waiting in the wings, Davide Riccardi, and onto the rear again is Mickey Friesen, who's been off the back for the last 25 minutes. Bye-bye, Noel! Bye-bye, Noel! Round he goes, turned by Davide Riccardi, and any chance of victory now is dispatched in the Galpi gravel. Now here comes another look for Joni Hagner. He's not as close as he was before, but it's a late move across, a half look across, so no chance of making this move into turn 1, but it's deep. It's too deep, some would say, out there at the moment from the likes of Joram Van Hicks. Laust Olsen is not the best friend of Joram because there's drive now here. If you can just cut the corner, get the power on early. Joni Hagner's now got a chance. Huge defence over. No, I can't follow him all that way. Out of Sagres goes Jacob Reed. Outside line, door to door as they work through. Perfection is realised for the data scientist. It's all a science at the end of the day. Jacob Reed, ultra dominant here today in GTP, and with the fastest lap on the final lap to boot. But GTO is where it is all at, coming over towards the line. Joni Hagner knows he is running out of chances. He will not have enough to go on the final lap. Big wide line, he's trying to cut back and get dry down the hill to turn 12. It's the last great place to do it, and if he can find it, it's there, but he is nowhere near close enough to make it happen. Craig, I think this is one for Van Hicks to say he's got second in the championship as Schwebig finishes second, and third for Jack Wells.
We'll wait and see. There goes Jack Wells getting there, and this is it. It's a short run to the line, and that's not going to help. He tries to tighten in, but Joni had the chance. He could not make it. Johan Van Hicks will get it done. He takes home the win. He gets the second in the championship. A great drive for Joni, but just 1 point separates the two of them. And a shout out to Mickey Friesen for third. Noel Lundberg is coming down into 7th in a position at the end as he tries to get on. And it's a late run to the line. It would be all for naught. Jack David Spickett gets 4th going up 11 places, and the DTM boys are still at it out there because Foreman Pollock is just going to pit Martin Krajcik with just one corner to go. A real good battle they've had today. You got to give a shout out to them because they have just thrown their hair out the window and just had the best of fun today.
Well, knock on wood, because it is one of those days where everything has been about can you throw as much battling as possible, and results, well, here's one easy scenario. Turn 1 decided the race today. There's no other way to describe it, and it was Jacob Reed's day in the sunshine in GTP. A huge dominant win as he crosses. He wins by 38 seconds over Henning Schwebig, with Jack Wells in 3rd, Seamus Power and Davide Riccardi 4th and 5th. Riccardi making contact with Noel Lundberg late. Laust Olsen will end up in 6th, with Gael Gonzalez 7th. Gabriel Martinez will confirm 3rd in the championship despite an 8th place finish today, ahead of Fabian Youngbluth and Raul Rothes, who will make up your top 10. Over in 11th would be Christoph Alenishak, who would be 1 lap down after being caught in the lap 1 dramas. Emilio Dechari a lap down 2 for Lance Simon, 4 for Brendan Lim, who had to go sideways to avoid the first of 2 retirements, Algiers Valenteius, and the other one being Jake Gittus, who did not take the start. Over to Craig King with GTOs.
Well, only one thing to look at, and it's Johan Van Hicks takes the victory and just pits Joni Hagner to P2 in the championship, who just came home in 2nd. What a fight they gave us. Mickey Friesen will get a 3rd place, and up 11 places for the man who could not set a qualifying lap today. Jack David Spickett gets to 4th. Andreas Schuster will be 5th, with Josh Brain in 6th. And Noel Lundberg had a shot for that podium, had a shot for the victory. Just a penultimate lap incident there cost him P7. Timothy Reed will be 8th. Josephine Becker will get that 9th, with Brandon White confirming a great junior season for him in 10, which then leads us to Cal Young in 11th. Had to start from the pits after a disconnect. Fulham Pollock will be 12th, with Martin Krajcik in 13th. 1 lap down for Henry Viramaki. Richard Heinemann had to take a fuel stop in 15th position, and Zoe Russ will be the last man and the first retiree.
Yeah, so a very tough day at the office for those near the rear, but what a great season. What a great end to 2025 in terms of the season runs here of your IMSA Vintage series. And there's a reason why, Craig, we keep coming back and we keep covering this series, because it creates some of the craziest styles of racing out there. The best of the best always look to put it out. Craig King, you've managed to walk yourself down the virtual paddock and you found yourself Noel Lundberg.
Yep, I've got Noel Lundberg alongside me. And Noel, that looked to be a very tough battle at the end. And you didn't have a shot, unfortunately, at the end. That looked like heartache on the penultimate lap for you.
Hello. Yeah, it certainly was. It was a really good battle until the end.
Yeah, talk us through that, because every week we see the GTOs and it's always a train of cars and it just feels like nobody wants to attack. Do you feel that's the case? Are you happy enough to just stay in the lead and let the others just wait, or is that just the case that, you know, nobody can get past you?
Well, it's either draft track, so it's not favorable to be in the lead from the start sometimes, depending on traffic. Or traffic. If there's traffic coming, you don't really want to make a move because things get spicy really fast, as you've seen. And the other reason is, basically we don't try to wreck each other early on in the race. So we try to keep the hard racing a little bit down, because you want to get away from the rest of the field as well.
And hard racing, you and Johan at the end there had some really hard racing. Almost came together on the start line. Was that just a little bit of miscommunication there with not knowing who was where?
Yeah, I think a little bit. We tried to give each other as little room as possible and had a little bit of contact. We started clipping into each other a little bit, but we got out alive, so no harm done.
No harm and no foul. And no, it is the championship for you this season. What does that mean to you?
It was the first season I basically tried to jump into all races. I think I missed 1 week, but it was really good. I'm happy to finally have a shot at it and to bring it home. And I enjoyed it a lot.
We can see that. It's been great to see you from when you started getting your first win at Le Mans to where you are now. And that was only a year and a half ago, just to show the progress. Your plans for next season, is there anything you're looking forward to? I know drivers have had a peek at the schedule. Is there anything you're looking forward to?
Oh, definitely Nürburgring. That's my favorite track, so I'll definitely be there for that.
I think we will all be there for the Nürburgring. Noah Lundberg, commiserations today, but congratulations on the championship. The GTO championship is yours. Have a very good week off to celebrate.
Thanks. I'll enjoy it.
I'm sure he will. Noah Lundberg, who did not finish well today in 7th, but a man who did do well today. It's been a while since I got to talk to this man. Seamus Power, first of all, welcome back. And second of all, that looked like a very fun race once you avoided the lap 1 incident.
Yeah, thanks for the welcome back. Yeah, last couple of weeks I've been busy, so I haven't been able to swing by. But wow, what a return, and what a way to end the season, I guess. Yeah, wow, turn 1 and 2 on lap 1 was crazy. I'm gonna have to spool back through my replay and grab some clips of that, because it felt like the sea of cars parted for me. Luckily, and I escaped with no contact. And then yeah, the rest of the race was surprisingly. Yeah, I was able to catch the guys in front thanks to some traffic and maybe a bit of pace on my end, and yeah, almost managed to get a podium out of it. But I think traffic finally went against me for those last couple laps, and couldn't really quite reach Jack to fight him. But it was good.
Yeah, so let's talk about the traffic for a moment. This is not a track we've done a lot of racing around, and it's a track in the real world. It's very good for multi-class, but in these cars, where you have that speed difference as well, where the GTOs are a little bit faster in some of the sections, how do you manage that? Because it looked very tough for a full stop for some of these GTP drivers to get past GTOs today.
Yeah, it's for me, I don't know. Like I like this track for one. I think maybe this is the second or third time I've raced IMSA Vintage here. I can't remember, and I've raced multi-class here as well. And the weird thing is the Audi's lines for this track, I haven't fully understood yet. And I tend to pride myself on being able to get where the Audis go on each track very quickly to sort of help ease through traffic. But I don't know. Maybe I just need more practice with these guys, because sometimes I was just like, why are you going there? But no, otherwise it was just, I think, a matter of being patient where you can. The Audis are definitely a lot faster out of, the numerous slow corners with bad camber and everything, where they can just power out. But a lot of especially the high speed corners, when you know to kind of undercut them or go around the outside, was definitely a help. But yeah, I think maybe another race or two, and then I'll finally understand the Audis.
Well, speaking about a race or two, it's now a couple weeks until we get into 2026 season 1, and there's a lot on the plate coming in for 2026. But what are you most looking forward to? It's kind of like an early Christmas present for the sim racers. What are you looking forward to in that 2026 season, or even just next season for IMSA Vintage?
Yeah, so I guess season more broadly, I think in the patch notes there's some mention of the oval refresh stuff, which, I'm not a huge oval guy, but I do like racing it now and then. So that should be interesting. I think it's about more multi-group stuff, which is always an interesting dynamic. And then more broadly, I suppose Daytona will be back, so that'll be a good endurance race with my team. And then this season or next season for IMSA Vintage, I'm hoping I can try and commit to as many races as possible this time around. So, we'll see where it happens with the championship. I'm not quite sure what the track selection is. I don't think, unfortunately, we have Mosport next season, but I'm sure with the community voting, we'll have some other interesting choices in there.
Oh, that's gonna be, yeah. We'd love a bit of Mosport here, but who knows? Maybe the season after. We don't know. Seamus, it's always great to see you. Great seeing you back out there on the track, and we hopefully look forward to seeing you next season in some of the races.
Thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it.
Seamus Power coming home in 4th today, surviving the lap 1 ruckus, and well, that's gonna do it for the IMSA Vintage season. So I want to give a shout out, of course, to Jake, and a shout out to Christian and Dougie. A shout out as well to Daniel Costello for helping out, and other people just off the top of my head, I usually do a list, and I feel bad that I didn't do a list this time. But Sega, one of them. I think Howie as well is coming in here as well. DJ's coming and helped out. We've had other drivers coming in. Alex has worked out as well. So everyone that has given you this product, and of course, thank you to all of you watching. And stick around for my rambling at the end with the interviews. If you like what you see, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button. You don't want to miss any more racing, because finale week is ending tomorrow. Lotus 79's, that's a championship battle you do not want to miss between two Finns. Head to the Mount Panorama. It's Bathurst. That's going to be fantastic to watch. And then, even though there's no racing officially next week, we still got a lot of driving. MX5 United at Mid-Ohio. Nothing mid about that track on Tuesday. Sim Race Republic has their GT Sprint on the Sunday. And then before the season starts, the Porsche owners head on to Willow Springs. So that is what's happening, even though there's no more official races after tomorrow. And that means we get a nice rest. Jacob Reed will be able to shine up another trophy and put it in his cabinet. He's got enough, but he keeps on wanting more. And Johan van Hicks, well, he gets that P2, but he had to hand it, the championship, to Noel Lundberg. He gets to celebrate, but who gets to celebrate next season? Let's do it all over again, folks. 12 weeks coming up in 2 weeks. Until next time, race hard, race clean, and we will see you on the track.
This is iRacing.